Okay, so today what I'm going to try is to set up 4 snapshots in the HX Stomp. And let me explain. It's not really 4 snapshots. It's trying to get something similar to a fourth snapshot that we can use live. And this comes from my personal needs. I usually have 4 main sounds, kind of a clean sound or cleanish, a crunch sound, then more a drive, rhythm sound, and then I have a lead tone. Okay, so I usually use this for 95% of the songs I play with my band. So with Stomp, with the Stomp, I had an issue because there's only 3 snapshots available, and there's no way to get a fourth snapshot that I can use. And for me, it's quite important that each of these 4 sounds can be accessible with a single press, so I don't need to touch a couple of buttons to get to the sound I need, right? So I need these 4 main sounds available at a single stomp. And this, I couldn't get this done in the past. Right? So that's why even using presets, it was not possible. Right? Because at the moment you are jumping into a new bank, you then go back to the previous ones. It's complicated. So I was trying different formulas and I was not happy. So when the new release of the Helix firmware came up, and I saw the command center, I was exploring what I could do with the command center to see if I could solve my issue. And I have found a trick that more or less, it, at least for mine, it does the trick. Right? Okay, so let me demonstrate first the end result. What I'm trying to achieve. Basically, it's the idea is I want to use my foot switch 5, which is the external foot switch, as a fourth snapshot. So I have basically that I have 3 sounds set up as a standard snapshot. I have my clean here, my clean, and then I have a crunchy one and a more driven one. And then I can jump whenever, for example, from my clean tone, if I click my foot switch, it will jump into a lead sound. Right? Repeat that. Clean and my lead tone. So let me explain you the thing. So basically, I have here a preset. This is called for snap. Not a particularly good sounding one because it's the one I use with some monitors, and here directly it's not sounding really good, but it's gonna illustrate the concept, right? As you can see, I have this preset with some wah pedal that I can engage and disengage through the expression pedal. Then I have a compressor, distortion pedal, an amp, IR, and some modulation and delay and the FX loop. Okay. Basically, the difference between the 3 main snapshots that I have set up are the amp settings. So you will see that if I look at the amp settings, right? For snapshot number 1, which is my clean tone, I have the drive quite low and the volume up to compensate. And you will see that this is white. So this means that it's controlled by the snapshots. Okay. So if I switch to a snapshot 2, you will see the change. Basically, it's increasing the drive a little bit and compensating the volume. That's it for snapshot number 2, nothing else, right? Then if I go to snapshot number 3, which is more the drive rhythm tone, there's 3 things happening. On one side, the amp also is increasing gain and reducing volume, but I engage also an overdrive, and I remove the compressor. Okay, so you will see that at the moment I click on that, I get compressor disengaged. My distortion comes in. It's a clone Minotaur with a light distortion, so light gain, and then but the amp has a little bit more gain. Okay, and these are basically the three sounds I have configured right now. Now, how to achieve a fourth sound? Then one option is really to use. I have an external foot switch that is foot switch number 5 for me, so FS5, and I could use this to change the sound somehow and apply more distortion or whatever, right? And that's what I will do, and then we will do the trick that I want you. So basically, in my lead tone, what I want is a little bit more gain and some delay added, right? So the delay, I already have it here, and it's quite easy. I just need to assign this to my external foot switch number 5, right? So I have here my vintage delay, and you see the bypass assignments. I have my bypass set to foot switch 5, so this is okay, right? So if I click on the foot switch number 5, you will see it down here, right? I'm engaging and disengaging the delay, right? That's great. Okay, so let's leave it like it is. Now, what I want to do is increase also the amp drive, but the problem is that the drive is right now assigned to the snapshot, so I cannot change the drive with the foot switch, right? So I lose the capability of doing this, but what I can do is increase the gain of the overdrive pedal, and this is what I do, right? So basically, if you see, the overdrive pedal is also, so if you look at the gain on the overdrive pedal, right, it's assigned to foot switch 5, okay, which means that whenever I move, I click on the foot switch 5, I switch between a 1.2 gain and a, sorry, it moves, and a 8. You see that when I click, it's 8 gain. If I click again, it goes back to 1.2. Okay, so this is the setup. Now this works in the way that if I'm in snapshot 3 and I click on foot switch 5, I can toggle between my lead tone with delay and more gain and my drive tone without this extra gain and delay, right? So this works fine. I can alternate between the two, and I can even go back to number 1. So my clean tone, and I'm in my clean tone. That's great, right? But if I want to go from my clean tone into my lead sound, I have to go through snapshot 3. So I have to first select snapshot 3 and then click on foot switch, right? Which is not what I wanted. And this is where my MIDI command center comes into play. Let me open that, right? Command center, right? So what we will do is my foot switch 5, it's this one here, right? Is the one that I'm using for adding this extra gain and delay. What I will do is I will assign this to HX Snapshot, right? And I will assign it to snapshot 3, right? Got it. So what this will do is that whenever I click on the foot switch 5, I will jump into snapshot 3. And the beauty is that for some lucky reason, right, it's first changing the snapshot and then applying the foot switch configuration, which means that it will jump into snapshot 3 and it will also engage the extra gain of my overdrive pedal and the delay. You will see that, right? So now I've changed this. So if I go back to snapshot 1, pressing the buttons, right, my delay now is off, right? My distortion is off, and my amp is at the low gain setting. If I click on the foot switch 5, look what happens. I go into snapshot 3. My distortion goes up to the roof, right? My overdrive pedal and my delay gets engaged, right? And if I now click on whatever snapshot, I go back to the normal state, right? Okay. And this seems to work fine, right? So now I have a 4th button that I can press at any time, and it will jump into snapshot 3 and add this extra distortion and delay, which is my lead sound. So now I have effectively, it's like having 4 snapshots. So basically, I have a snapshot 1, snapshot 2, and from wherever I am, I can click FS5 and I go into my lead tone with extra gain and delay. Okay. Now, there's one quirk here, there's a couple of things that you need to consider. Topic number one is you need, I don't know why, but there's something that maybe, we are doing that is not quite standard and it's not liking it. And sometimes when we are switching back between my lead tone, my fourth snapshot, pseudo snapshot, and other snapshots, sometimes it's not working. Right? And what it's doing is that it's not changing the snapshots, and it's just it's doing the foot switch action of engaging the overdrive and the delay. Then what I found out is that if I assign the release action of the command center also to snapshot 3, somehow this ensures that it's always changing to snapshot 3 whenever I'm pressing FS5. So with this little change in the configuration, now it works beautifully. I mean, whatever I'm clicking on FS5, it doesn't matter where I am, I will go into my lead tone. So I have now the clean tone let me illustrate this with the sound. So I have my clean tone now here in snapshot 1. And I can just click on FS5 and I'm jumping into my lead tone. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna cut this. So this is my clean tone now in snapshot 1. And if I click FS5, I go directly into my lead tone. And so forth. I can go into my grunge. I drive. And my lead. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, sorry, is if I'm in my lead tone, I click again snapshot 3, I am back into my rhythm tone. This is because there's a couple of changes that you need to do to the global settings in order to make this setup work, right? So there's a couple of global settings that you need to change. So let's go into the HX. You will see that. The first one is, so first go into the global settings through the menu, global settings, and then there's two things we need to change on the snapshot behavior. Thing number one is snapshot edits. You need to set this into discard instead of recall, because if you have this recall thing, it means that if you change something when having a snapshot selected, and you go out and in again into the snapshot, it will remember the changes. And this is not what we want, because we want that every time we load snapshot 3, it's a fresh snapshot, right, without any change. So we need to cancel to have this into discard, and then into snapshot reselect, we need to choose reload. So you have an option of reload and toggle. We need reload. What this does is that when you have snapshot 3 selected with your drive or your fourth snapshot setting, if you click again, it will reload the saved snapshot 3 without the extra changes, right? Without the drive and so on. If you don't set this like that, when clicking on this, it will jump into the previous snapshot, and that's not something that we want. Okay. Good. So with these settings, basically we have 4 sounds that we can access at the press of a button, right? But of course, there are some limitations. As I already mentioned, the fourth snapshot needs to have some commonality with one of the existing snapshots. So it needs to be a variation of the existing one. In my case, it's snapshot 3. And what we need to, and the changes need to be something that is not already assigned to snapshots or to stumps, right? Because otherwise they are not available to be added to this one, right? So basically, you need to be a little bit more creative. I've done this usually. In this case, I've done this modifying the gain of the distortion or the overdrive pedal and adding the delay. You could also do something like adding an extra. I didn't have a space for an extra pedal, but if, for example, you don't have the wah, you could also control these by adding another drive pedal and cascading the two pedals and just engage this with FS5. This would be another option. But it's not limited to gain. I mean, I have another preset. Let me show you. I have another preset that, in fact, what it's doing in this one, when I select snapshot 3, I have already all my gain maxed up. So I don't want more gain, but I want a fourth snapshot that engages a rotary pipe thing, right? So this is the rotary speaker. So whenever I click on look at that. Whenever I click on FS5, it goes directly into snapshot 3 and engages the rotary. You see that. Now it's engaged. And snapshot 3, normal snapshot 3 doesn't have this rotary. And I use this because there's a certain song where only in one song that I use, I use this quite exaggerated rotary effect in a single portion, and I need to go from a clean into this distortion with rotary in one click. So that's what I use, right? But you can be creative and find your setup. Not everything is possible, right? But there's quite a lot of flexibility using this method where you can have 4 separated sounds accessible at one click. Good. So this is all. I hope that it will be useful for some of you in case you have similar needs as the ones I have, which is having multiple 4 different sounds accessible easily. Let me know in the comments if you have any question, and I'll try to answer. Okay. Thanks for your time. Bye.